Yeah. And people who care about this stuff, they're not going to look, it disappeared. But there's a big thing that I'm saying, let's see, I think that's
All right, we're gonna try and get things going here since we have a guest speaker tonight. First off, I think we have a new face in the crowd tonight, so I'm gonna make a brief introduction. Go ahead.
David Birmingham, I live up to Zach. And he was there the other day, he kind of put me in this way.
Good. Glad you can make it out.
Welcome again.
So I'll go through the calendar real quick. We've got flies and flights, next Wednesday at Rally Cap. Dave, I kind of mentioned to you, but that's more of a beer drinking fish story kind of thing, but we do tie flies occasionally. Saturday, June 21st, we're gonna do a cleanup event. Sack Up is what we call it. Sack Up for Clean Waters is kind of how we've branded our cleanup events. This, some guys from New Orleans Fly Fishers will be coming up, and we're gonna meet at Capitol Lake, kind of behind, near the state capitol, near what they call the Armory. Kind of if you look up and there's a big cannon up there, you're in the right spot. I guess that would be the south shore of the lake. We'll have cleanup supplies, garbage bags, little grabbers and all that kind of stuff, do some cleanup, and then Capitol Lake is riddled with
The
orange.
Arsenal.
The Arsenal?
Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal. Arsenal or?
Yeah,
One of those
whatever.
things.
It's not that hard to find
It's
either.
hard to speak.
There's great parking right by the roundabout.
Yeah.
Big cannon right there. They used to be a big cannon.
So yeah, we'll meet up at around 8:30, do some cleanup and then do some fishing. It is a super fun site, so wash your hands, don't eat any fish. There are signs posted everywhere, but the fish are very eager to bite. I was there
I
today.
fished there on Sunday.
Yeah, there's probably a gazillion green sunfish in there.
Yeah, I did. I did catch a bunch of green sunfish.
But there are a lot of orange
So
spot
it's like
sunfish. So that's Saturday the 21st. Yeah, a few guys from the New Orleans Club will be coming up, so we're gonna do a little joint cleanup with them. Our fly tying is gonna be Monday the 23rd, and just please note it will be here at the library. No more Orbis for the time being. But we've got obviously one of these same rooms booked. They'll have the TV for us, so there's plenty of tables, so we should be able to make it work.
Yeah, Brian's tying this month, he's tying the near enough skull.
Near enough sculpin, yeah, but Dave lock pattern. It's not super complicated, so maybe we'll bring stuff to do two of them, a couple of different colors.
What's it, Brian, what's the name again?
Near enough sculpin.
Near enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what I had the near enough prey or prey fish
Yeah,
and near enough
and I got that
sculpin.
whiplock connection, we'll have to determine whether or not I can follow it.
Well,
You know.
I will say first off, I don't know that I'm gonna do the hard mono foundation, so it won't be a true, it'll be a near enough. Yeah. I'll explain it, I'm happy to explain it, yeah.
What's the target fish you go with?
That's kind of a bass fly, but I mean, trout eat sculpin and it's a bait fish pattern, so. Probably catch
Redfish.
speckled trout, redfish, yeah, yeah.
Turn it over to Brian. You want to mention
Poppers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, or you can cover the date
So-
or anything.
we put together a popper class or equipment class, we got 10 people doing it July 12th. I would encourage anybody, if you want to do it, we got a few spots left. So sign up, but it's really cool, he does like 5 different stages. You're gonna walk over 5 of his patterns, right, and learn about it. And there's some fees. And the tools, yeah, so it's $40 a person. But to me, he said it's one of the last times he might do it. So I would say, I would encourage everybody to, if you wanna do it, it'd be well worth it, so. But anyway, if y'all wanna sign up, just, we sent the email out this week. just email me or call me or whatever. So.
You gonna video?
I was planning on attending, but I can't, I don't, when's the date?
July 12th.
I should be around for that.
It's a
Yeah.
Saturday, so it's gonna be on Saturday. Cause it takes a while, it's gonna be.
Yeah, we should.
You know, a
Couple
couple hours.
hours, charity's taking up.
That's what I would say,
Yeah.
you know.
And he said he don't mind, like, if you wanna just come and watch, you can come and watch too. He'll have instructions, yeah, it's gonna be at the church. The Roman church, so.
You might see bear. Broadmoor.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's all, yeah. So the time and all that, we'll set up, we had set up the time and all that, yeah, I'm sure it'll be. Yeah.
I have no deal with that, like I said, video.
Yeah, Brad, what was that wildlife and fisheries, fishing outreach deal? You might need volunteers?
Yeah, so there's gonna be, we're doing a fly casting, thing, like I've been working with, the, FCS, so the Fishing Course Series outreach, guy at, Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. Josh Porter's his name, but been working on a fly casting, we'll try to get like fly fishing in there with a lot of the courses he does, because he does, I did an intro to fishing, course this weekend in New Orleans, for a couple of parks down there. I'm probably a little burnt and dehydrated from that, because it was hot on Saturday. But, I know I talked to Philippe, I think he was, gonna be able to help out, I have to talk to him again.
What's the date?
It's I want to say it's the 28th. It's
June.
yeah, it's the last. Yeah, it's 28th, and it's gonna be at, 9 AM.
Sunwater's 10/24, 10/6/26
Okay.
of June.
Yeah, so 20th of June.
Sunwater's 10.
That's gonna be a wide
Weekend, right?
Um,
10.
So. We'll probably need like a few people to help out with, just the fly casting portion of it.
Whatever that first
Um,
weekend is.
Okay.
And like I'm gonna reach out, I need to get some more rods too, because they're lightning, they kind of like out. So I'll probably need to borrow the club rods and I'll reach out to AJ as well. They've got a lot of
Friday the
people.
3rd. or
They have at least
Sunday
10
the
people and like it may be up to 15, so. So working on some of the posters and whatnot for them. But that's gonna be on the 28th at 9 o'clock at Warley.
Yeah, reach out to Brad if you
Yeah,
can.
so if you're interested in helping out, we're there.
What else? I did a couple fly patches, just kind of a test run. So I've got a couple available, $14 each if you're a premium member. I think a few dollars more for a regular member, but if anybody's interested, come talk to me and we can get more made. Also, for Casting for Recovery, the fundraising effort, basically they're renting fly rods every time they do one of their weekend events, and it's kind of silly for them not to just go ahead and buy them. But so a lot of the Louisiana clubs are having fundraiser efforts to try and give them enough money to buy. I think what do they need, Peter, like 20 rods, full setups is what they would need for a normal weekend. So I'm putting up this fly rod for raffle. We'll do $10 tickets. It's a 6-weight. I think it's a bass rod. I put a fighting butt on it, and it's kind of a medium action. So if y'all want to come take a look, we'll do a month or two selling tickets, and then at one of the next couple of meetings, we'll do a drawing. So no limit on the number of tickets, $10 each. And then all the proceeds will go to Casting for Recovery so that they can purchase their own setups.
I'd like to thank Brian for doing that. That's wonderful. He just told me this afternoon, he made the ride, he's never fished it.
Yeah, it's brand new,
Yeah,
never fished.
brand new
So yeah,
job.
like I said, come feel free
That's
to
pretty special.
take a look at it, come with me.
I would say if we couldn't sell, if you're gonna charge $10, we ought to have a goal and say, sell 100 tickets. People can buy more than one ticket. I mean,
Yeah, like,
buy a couple,
Any,
3, 4, 5. It's a donation, all the money goes to them for their regional effort.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, 100 would be an amazing amount. I'll say we'll cap ticket sales at 100 to give everybody a
Yeah.
fair chance, so don't want everybody to come by at once, but.
No, I know for sure that New Orleans got their their goal was $1,000.
Yeah.
They said, AJ said, yeah, we did that in one event.
Mhm.
And then, the Kisatchie, they just did something, they did an event. And I saw on their Facebook post, they got their 1,000 that they were
Mhm.
going for. So I mean, they just, out of the blue, they just picked numbers, I guess, and had goals, did it.
So, yeah, we're gonna hope to at least get up in that neighborhood and help arm the casket for recovery ladies with what they need to keep doing their
Outreach
retreats and
programs.
everything. I mean, yeah, it's a great program, so happy to do it. And other rod building news, I sent an email out to the guys that had signed up for the last go round. There's some people had bought blanks or had stuff that they weren't able to put together or join us for the last one, so anybody who's interested, we'll shoot to do another one in June or July. You wanna join, Mike?
Yeah, is it too late to sign?
No, just
Is it,
email me.
I have nothing, I have no idea what I need to generate. So,
Did you sign up for the, I couldn't remember if I had your email.
Pardon?
I didn't send you the email.
I did.
Okay, I'll send you what I sent out, it was only a few days ago, and I sent out a Word document that has some of that stuff, where to buy stuff, what to buy.
How many nights, evenings, days, is it we get?
So we're gonna do a 1 day kind of workshop thing, a few hours. I'll go through kind of all the steps,
Yeah,
but we won't do it all there. Because especially with putting the glue or the finish on the wraps, you need to keep that turning for like 5 or 6 hours before you can even like mess with it. You wouldn't want to start it somewhere and then try and transport it. But I'll go through the whole process and we can do like a test one. Yeah.
I'll get with you before.
Yeah.
I'm involved with this little baseball team.
Mhm.
I'm a coach, but I don't do no coaching. I just take pictures.
Yeah.
They let me be a coach so I can get on the field.
Nice.
And I never know when it's gonna finish, so I don't ask sooner for stuff like this, because I don't know when we're gonna be wrapping it
Yeah,
up.
sure. Yeah, well, I do the list, no problem.
Yeah.
So all of our trips spring are done with. Let's go let Cole or Carlos give a recap. I don't think they were at the last meeting. They went up to Arkansas the same weekend as the Concordia trip and did some fishing, so.
No, so not saying we can as Concordia.
Same weekend as the saltwater.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's see, Carlos, jump in, but, we, got there, most of us got there Friday afternoon, we rented a 3-bedroom cabin, 3-story, cabin, which I've done before on Crooked Creek. And we fished behind it with, I would say, limited success there for after a couple hours anyway out there. And then, Saturday, we had 8 people all together, so 4 of them wanted to, I say boat fish, it was a guided boat fishing trip Saturday and Sunday, and so everyone did Sunday, but Saturday, half of us went to, wade fishing, so we were gonna go to Norfolk. Tried to go, we went up there, and the water we had tons of rain at those nights and days we were there. So we had, good fish there, so we kind of circled back around, fired around a little bit, then we came back, and the house we're renting, the guy that owns it is building another house, little ways away.
Mhm.
It's a big A-frame on an unbelievably beautiful section of Crooked Creek. And there's, what was that water out there behind those rocks? It was 25, 30 feet deep. Yeah. Right there, and then there was a ripples right there. It's
Wow.
almost like a dead end area almost.
Mhm.
And,
It was
it's
so
all out-
clear
Oh my
from
God.
the top of the bank, and it dropped down probably 20 feet. But from the top, you could see 20, 25 smallmouth from.
Oh, yeah.
Like, look at them, they're all over,
They
right?
were everywhere. It was crazy.
As soon as you get down there and do like this.
That water was so clear.
You know, it climbed up on some of these rocks and it, it was a little scary because water's coming fast and then climbed up and, I could see down far. man, you throw that lure, I've changed lures 12 times. And they'll come up to it and they look at it.
Yep.
And then move it a little bit, they look at it and then swim away.
Wow.
And the water, so, well, I got some,
Hey, smallmouth?
yes,
Big ones,
yes.
yeah.
I like
5 or 6 months.
Did you ever catch them?
Little ones, right when I got there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call it, little,
little,
like this big?
probably, I don't know, 10 pounds. Yeah. What you were seeing was like.
Yeah, what you were seeing were 4 pound fish.
Yeah, that's the reason they get that.
Yes, the reason I get that big is clear, yeah. super clear.
Using Corey special. Real
That does, that does.
I caught a long ear on Concordia
I was saying, that
in that creek right there.
actually, I was not using Concordia special on Sunday when I was fishing, amazingly enough. I was fishing top water.
I wish I would have fished both days or Crooked Creek instead of using a guide on the White River the next
Yeah,
day.
you had a.
I had a bad guy.
You had a bad guy. That one man part of the trip, but,
You'll have that, Ken.
other thing was float fishing down the White River, and you're gonna catch fish. I mean, you just, it's, you know, it's not real fishing. It's fun catching fish. Then, everyone left, I was staying up there for the week, I had to work up there in Little Rock Wednesday and Thursday, with Mark Paxton, one of the guys that came up and met us there. He and I went over to the Little Red River Tuesday morning, and I have never seen fishing that stupidly good in my life for an hour and a half. We got there and there was a landing where we meet at Colombo Landing, but again, the night before, it had 3 or 4 inches of rain, tons of water. It was fast, high, kind of like it was in Norfolk or something like Fort Collins. And so he said, look, man, we got one chance to fish. He said, we gotta go right to the dam. And, cause there's no feeder creek here. Okay, so we get up there, he said, we got an hour and a half window. We got there about 9 o'clock to the dam. The launch there at John F. Kennedy Park there. And, cause at 10:30, they were gonna open up everything to blow the lake down. They had a schedule for it. And he was right, it went from 9 to about 10:30. He quit counting our trout that we were catching. It was like, take what we did on the Little Missouri and just double.
Damn.
It was stupid. We don't know how many we caught. He kept counting at 60 trout in 30 minutes.
Wow.
And it was just.
You do me a huge favor.
Were you? They wrote more than all.
Just have one.
Not a thing. We fished for another couple hours. I caught maybe two more fish, and we booked it for all day. This guy I've used before, he said, look, if we go fish and pass this, I'm stealing your money. He said, we're never catching more fish. We just get it.
That was
Great for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I was just doing 2 weeks, awesome.
Any plans on a fall trip up
I want
there?
to do something in the fall, what pretty ideas, suggestions, or
Okay.
something different, you know, kind of in a rut with what we're doing right now, last couple of years, so we'll do something different.
Yeah, Dave, for your information, we do 2 locations twice a year. We do a saltwater trip to Leeville and a warm waters freshwater trip to Lake Concordia. And we do both of those twice a year in the spring and in the fall. So we just had our spring trips in April and May, and we have the fall trips in October. And then Cole organizes a few trips a year up to Arkansas for either trout or smallmouth fishing. So spring and then sometimes fall as well. But yeah, the Little Missouri River is about 6 hours from here. That's the closest trout waters. So that's what our usual spring trip is. And then go farther north and get into some other rivers. So those are kind of our normal trips. Ken is our international travel chair. He's not here tonight, but we're taking interest for a trip to Belize in 2026. We don't have any dates yet, but anybody who's interested, it'll be at El Pescador Lodge and Ambergris Key. It's an Orvis endorsed bonefish lodge, and we'll kind of book it through Orvis. And so, I mean, the goal is to get a few people from the club, but it's kind of doing it through them. It doesn't really have like a make or break for us. If we don't get enough people, we won't do it type of thing. So.
Are we limited to those places you have there, or are you open to your?
No, so other trip ideas, I just have some suggestions, but yeah, I mean, anybody's welcome to kind of say like, hey, I want to do a a trip here, you know, we could go to southern Colorado or to the Smoky Mountains if you want to do trout, or after Peter's presentation, you want to go to North Alabama and do some bass fishing, you know, those are all good options.
A couple of years ago in Montana, and these cabins,
Mhm.
the guy that owned them was fly fisherman, so he took me a few times, just this fishing program, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
So, and I'll get you
I'd love to
information.
get some information on that.
Yeah, anybody who's got kind of a pitch or something, like at the next meeting, if you just, you wanna just say, hey, look, I got. So here's some
I'll get
facts,
you
this
information.
is like where we're, this is the location, this is the best time of year, this is what travel generally runs, and this is what lodging runs, that kind of thing, and we'll just start gauging interest and stuff, yeah.
Well, this is about a 40-minute drive from the cabins, and then a hike of about a quarter of a mile,
Mhm.
and then you was a beautiful place to fish, and it was very productive, it was great, great time.
Yeah, like I said, if you wanna put stuff into a little kind of elevator pitch, to come up and do the next meeting, and start getting that roll, that'd be great, thank you.
Brian.
Yep.
Comment on the October saltwater trip, it's at Boudreaux's Motel in Leeville. You can Google it, or if you want, I can get you the number back there, I have it on my phone, after the meeting. But, the trip is exceptionally popular because of the weather and the movement of the fish inland. And, John at Boudreaux's, the owner, at Boudreaux's, is holding 6 rooms for us at Boudreaux's Motel. Now, you don't have to stay at Boudreaux's, you can stay at Galleon Inn, or you can go down to Grand Isle, or wherever you wanna stay, and then come back for the big fish fry on Saturday. But he's holding 6 rooms for that weekend for us, and 2 of those 6 are booked, one of which is by yours truly, so, so if you do think you might be wanting to make the trip, you can always cancel it. I mean, he's gonna fill a room, no matter, if you cancel it, he'll fill the room up with somebody else who's waiting to get in, but, I'm mentioning that now because last year we couldn't get enough rooms at Boudreaux's Motel because we didn't do this, but this year, he said he's got 6 rooms for red stick fly fishers. Book early. So if you think you might wanna go, put your name on a room and, one of the remaining 4 rooms. And if we fill up, I'll call him back, say, hey, John, can you hold us a couple more rooms? So, but the fall is always the popular time to go. So,
Motels and hotels, a lot of them got wiped out by Ida, and many haven't rebuilt, so there's kind of a shortage of places to rent down there.
yeah, his rooms, for those interested, his rooms rent for $150 a night, so that's 300, so if you split it 2 ways, it's $150 each, but you can always bring a cot or a sleeping bag or a mattress or something and add somebody on the floor, in the 2 rooms with the 2 beds. He has 2 rooms that have 3 beds, and I have one of them, and the other room that's booked, because somebody else has that one. But it'd be a tight squeeze to add a 4th cot, air mattress in the rooms with 3 beds, but it's doable with the rooms with 2 beds.
Yep, so yeah, get with Randy if you think you wanna go, because hopefully we can fill them up quick and get more if we need. And then real quick, before we get to our speaker, Jambalaya Challenge standings, Brad is in the lead with 26. I am behind with 20, and then Murray and Carlos at 15, Chris at 12, Ben at 10, Sydney 8, David and Joe 7, Cole at 6, Steven 5, Emmett and Philippe and Mike McGee also have 5. Mike, now I don't know if your jellyfish is in that 5. Might get wiped out.
Take it on account.
We can't prove that he didn't foul hook it, you know.
So I guess a little.
How you tell me?
Yeah, I think they have to be actual fish,
Yeah,
raising fish species.
That's. I caught a dozen crabs on a fishing rod this week.
Oh, wow, really?
And,
They're hungry.
I almost caught more than I did in the traps.
Wow. And yeah, so Dave, our Jambalaya Challenge, it's a year-long competition to see who can catch the most species of fish. Basically, just if you catch something, you take a picture on your phone, try and get the fly or a fly rod in the photo, and then on our website, we have a form that submit it. This afternoon. These are a little bit different than if you click that link and it's just. Because those,
I don't know. I don't know when I submitted my last fish.
but yeah, so I don't think anyone has hit 60, but we've had a few people get to like the mid 50s. So hopefully somebody can hit 60 this year. Probably Brad.
Some people, Brian and Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must be open.
All right.
Get Chris to take it for us.
One other thing to mention, talking about other trips would be maybe a day trip. There's this new operation that's opened up on the Upper Amite. It's kind of started, somebody stumbled upon it as like an Airbnb rental, but now they're saying they offer like day use and they'll offer kayak shuttle trips. So they call it the Point or the Gathering Point. It's right off Highway 10 on the Upper Amite River near Greensburg. So that could be another thing where we start talking, hey, kind of in that summer pattern, hadn't rained, might be a good weekend to go do a float trip, bring your kayak and meet up at this place. It sounds like they'll just shuttle you upriver and you float back down. Maybe they'd let us, I don't know, set up a tent and have some refreshments afterwards or something. But
I mean,
again, another one of those little deals that we could always put together.
We wanna do the boat fly at some point too.
Yeah,
I got a camp on the fly,
yeah.
but there's a couple of launches above it.
Mhm.
That would be easy to launch at, and you could finish at the camp or.
Yeah.
Whatever, y'all wanted to do that one weekend,
Appreciate it.
How many bids in that camp?
and then, what's that?
How many bids in that camp?
I mean, I didn't invite you for the weekend. You said you come by for the day.
125.
That's right. There you go.
You gotta be able to get up the stairs.
You're not having this time, Cindy, I'm telling you.
You gotta be able to get up the stairs.
All right, well, we won't
They call
keep
it-
Peter hanging on any longer. Peter, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hang on, let me get my video going.
So this
There we
is
go.
production. Peter John Cole with Alabama Fly Fishing. Are you up around Florence?
No, I am actually down in central Alabama. I'm about,
Oh,
I
okay.
live about, we do have one guide, Andy Witten. So we're fly fishing Alabama. I'm one of 4 guides. There are 3 of us that run the Cahaba River. Myself, Stephen Rockerts, and Andy Witten is up in Florence, and then Richie Randolph does try and block that light out. Andy Witten does smallmouth trips up in the Florence area, Flint River, Tennessee River system. So I do most of our wade trips. So anybody that's coming into town to do red eye specific trips, for the Warrior I don't do the Tallapoosa. I do the Warrior, the Coosa, and the Cahaba. Rockards guides on the Warrior River as well. Are those frogs coming through now?
No.
No, you can just hear me. Just wanted to check. Cool. I got all kinds of wildlife in the backyard going crazy. So we offer half-day wade trips, full-day float trips. We run out of rafts. So Stephen has a river rat. I run an NRS slipstream. I'm going to go ahead and get my mnemonic tick out of the way whenever I do presentations. Whatever I say, Brad can edify it because he's been on the boat with me twice. We got about 20 hours on the water together. But instead of, I got a bad habit of just going, yeah, well, Brad will tell you. Big fish Brad, though. So 2 years ago, Brad came over and fished with me for the first time. I think we had 7 fish for the day total. It was fishing kind of slow. It was 90% of the fish were in 10% of the water. But when we got into them, I think he put 5 of those 7. I think 5 were over 17 inches, all Alabama bass, what a lot of people would refer to as a spot. It's the Alabama bass, Micropterus henschali. So that's our target species. We're also looking for Cahaba red eyes, depending on what the run is. So I do the Coosa River as well. We've got 2 runs on the Coosa Valley, and then we do Jordan Dam Tailorus down towards the Alabama River, down in Wetumpka, another beautiful float. So Brad picked up one of those fish was probably a 9-pound drum last year. That was just a stud on a pink and white clouser. So, fishing for Alabama bass, moving water is, in my opinion, moving water is moving water. Whether you're fishing for trout, you're fishing for smallmouth, if you've got moving water adjacent, it kind of all those species fish the same, my personal opinion. Trout, a little bit different. Sure, you can throw a lot smaller stuff, but when we're talking about bait fish patterns and predatory fish, so I got a little display out, and I'm going to show you some of these. These are kind of our go-to, or my go-to patterns at least. So your clousers, right? So chartreuse and white, a little bit of rainbow flash, some rubber legs mixed in. Rubber legs, just a little extra action. So, and I'm going to dip this one. So this is kind of the profile that we're looking for. So I have a working theory, right? So moving water triggers a bite. So if the water is moving, I like to have a smaller profile. I dead swing them. I put almost no action on the fly at all. I just let it go through the run, and you may have to fish the same seam 5 to 7 times to determine that there is not a fish that's willing to bite. A lot of times on that 5th to 7th, you get all the way to the back end of your swing out on that, like if we're talking 10 to 2, 45 to 45, you get on the back end, give it 4 or 5 good 6-inch strips. Sometimes that fly coming back up through the water column is what triggers the bite. I know that's what Brad has seen that have a lot of success. So moving water, I like a thinner profile. Now, so this is a fly that I designed. I've got a guy, angler, Micah Pounds, angler momentum flies. So it's a lot of squirrels onker in this one. This is called a 3-peat. So pretty bulky on the front end. So this is white with a black tail. We have a lot of gizzard shad here. So whenever that thing slicks down, a little bit bulkier pattern. This thing has worked great for me. It has one articulation in it, no hook point in the front, hook point in the rear. I'm not a huge fan of dual hooks. I don't find it to be a make or break for hookup ratio, especially with clients new. I mean, all of you have obviously fly fished before, probably a negligible issue, but especially with people that are new to fly fishing, I get some people that have never picked up a fly rod before on my boat. Having that hook point in the rear, especially during your slower bite seasons. So we're talking dead of summer and cold water. Cold water, especially on this clouser, what I found, the reason why I came up with that one was with the clouser, we were getting a lot of short strikes where they're biting the tail. And I'm watching the client, and they're good strip set. They're doing everything right, but we're not hooking up. So switched over to something with a hook point in the rear of the fly. And those more timid soft bites, hookup ratio went through the roof. So white and black is a big one for me. Chartreuse and white. Stephen and I are both dead set on red dumbbell eyes. It's all we fish, if it's dumbbells. Purples, same pattern. It's that 3-peat again. The purple is real big. So this one, Micah took that 3-peat design and then made it a little bigger. So this is what he calls a sour diesel. I'll throw a quarter up here so you got some kind of idea. So it's about a 5-inch fly. Just threw some longer flash in there, and then bigger tail feathers. This one is dual hook. Had a lot of success out of those this year. Love the olive greens, same thing, a little bit of root beer flash on the sides. So now the fun stuff. So I talked about moving water, smaller profile, more still water. And if I'm hitting eddy pockets, I like to move over to something that's going to push water, right? If the water's not moving, I need to move water. That's how we activate that lateral line. So game changers, can't go wrong. Bulkhead deceivers, another great pattern. I have found that these 3-peats work really well for this as well. That big squirrel collar on the front, it really pushes a lot of water. Then another one that I absolutely have to talk about. So some of you might be familiar with a tire named John Lohr. He came up with the rivet roll. which is a Orvis pattern now, but this is the Helgermite that he ties. This pattern, especially in cold water, dead swing it, keep it low, basically put it in the water and forget about it. Let it go all the way through the swing. This Helgermite has caught a lot of fish this year. And then the topwater, which is what we all want. And Alabama bass they are voracious eaters. They're ravenous. They're very, very aggressive from the 8-inchers to the 20-inchers. You get a lot of really big, exciting, aggressive takes. So I fish everything from this is a rivet roll from John Lohr. So I fish everything from this number 1 and then his number 8 in the rivet rolls. And I'll throw the quarter up there again so you got an idea. That number 8 is a huge producer. You can catch everything, redbreast, bluegill, Cahaba red eyes. You can fish little creeks, you can fish big water with this thing. And the nose on these, that foam nose on these pushes a lot of water around. Again, I love hitting the eddy pockets and the little slack water adjacent to moving water. Big producer for those. Another mainstay for us in Alabama, especially, is the Sam's 1 bug. Can't go wrong there. All variants of colors. I really like the black and yellow. We call it the Wu-Tang bug. Black and yellow, pink and white. Never sleep on pink and white, and blue and white. And you can't go wrong with yellow and orange, which is a classic. Another popper that I use, this is probably the topwater I throw the most, is double barrel poppers in a 1. Paul Terry ties these up for me. Blue and green, white legs has been great. Chartreuse and black, classic, and an all black. And then we also throw larger Sam's 1 bugs. It's just a foam body popper, split on the back, little bit of marabou and flash, and some big rubber legs. So let me talk one more piece of gear. So another thing that I've come up with, and any of you that have smallmouth fished probably already know this. I know you're all talking about finikin ones in still or in clear water earlier. Our bass are not leader shy. And for me, especially guiding, my job is to get fish in the boat, get clients to put fish in the boat. So well, you can't really see it in that lighting. So I run my leaders, I run 3 pounds or 3 feet of 20 pound to 2 foot of 17 pound to a 25 pound micro swivel. And then for tippet, I'll use anywhere from 1 to 2. I might go to 2 feet of 17 pound, or if I want to go a little bit longer, then I'll go to like 2 feet, 3 feet of 12 pound. But that's what I use for my leader formula. I'm big on, we have a local company here, owned by a Birmingham firefighter, Calico fly rods. That's what we fish. Calico fly rods, some TFO, and I have become a huge proponent, especially for multi-purpose, and like our rivers are pretty shallow. You're not really that worried about getting super deep. So if you got a 5 foot base layer or base leader, and then you put another 2 foot of tippet on it, and some of these heavier sinking flies, you can run with a weight forward floating line. And I'm a huge proponent of the Cortland bass bug. You can pretty much move anything. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can move any fly with that stuff. With my Calico 6 weights, which is what I primarily fish with on the boat, I overline it by 1. So I go to a 7 weight line on that particular rod. And it just, especially for new fly fishers, people that are picking up the rod for the first time, it's really, really easy for them to pick it up. And I mean, within an hour, they're picking it up and putting it down at 40, 50 feet. So that's my spiel about me, about us. I would love to open the floor to any questions that y'all have.
I got one on, so now we're getting into summer and we're already having heat advisories here in Louisiana. Do you
Sure.
fish differently when the weather gets like super hot? I mean, I'm sure you still have moving water to fish, but is it change anything when it starts to get in the real summer?
Yes, it does. So three big things for when the water gets hot and the overhead temps get hot. Middle of the day, just forget about it, which means you got to get out there earlier. You got to get out there earlier. You need to be fishing first light. Second thing, as the water temp rises, dissolved oxygen goes down. So on a moving river like the Cahaba, so I didn't even highlight the Cahaba, but the Cahaba is the longest free flowing river in the state of Alabama. It's 191 miles undammed. So with that being said, with that moving water, everywhere that I see bubbles, like with trout fishing, foam is home. It's the same thing. Everywhere that water is turning over those rocks is creating oxygen in that river system. So you lose your midday bite, but all those, again, 90% of the fish are going to be in 10% of the water. They're going to go to wherever the easiest place to feed is and where can they breathe. Like the Cahaba, there's not that many deep pockets through the runs that we fish. There's not that many deep pockets for them to get below the thermocline. So they're very, very dependent on those shoals and sticking close to them for forage and for oxygen. So that's my two big ones there. The other one I would say, again, I lean hard on topwater in eddy pockets. They're still getting the oxygen. They're not having to expend energy, which they really try to avoid that time of year. I like fishing topwater into an eddy pocket.
What time of year would you call your sweet spots for fishing in Alabama, for like the Cahaba?
Okay. So Cahaba especially, I would say from early May, first week of May through second week of June is like pretty much as good as that river gets. On the flip side, mid-October to early November, when it starts to cool off again, that's another really, really, really fun fishing time. It fishes kind of similar. It's more subsurface on that fall bite, but Alabama's like Louisiana, it just gets hot here. There's no way around it. It kind of makes for a long day. But when that water temp finally starts to drop and you get those little bit of fall rains, the bite picks up again and it gets pretty aggressive.
So what time of the year do you catch the biggest fish? Like saying, when you catch, the bigger.
Whenever.
Yeah, it's that early May.
Okay.
Yeah, so, well, I say early May. Honestly, early April. I'm going to say everywhere from end of March to third week of April is probably, if you want to talk about just, you're not going to catch a bunch of fish, but all you're going to catch is big fish, that would be my time. So I'll put it this way, from the second week of April to a month ago, whatever that was, I'm full-time. So another thing about me, I'm full-time National Guard. So my calendar is all kinds of the wreck. So from early April to 4 weeks ago, whatever that equates to, we had put over 40 fish over 16 inches in the boat. And that was just my boat. So that whole timeline right there, the biggest difference in the spring fishing for us, right? So the Cahaba River has a shoal system, a really heavy shoal system. So when you get in there in early May, they're staging. Early April, they're staging. So you're gonna catch them on all the tail outs at the bottom of the shoals. Later into April, and then through about the second week of May, all you fish is the shoals. Your whole day, start to finish, is in the shoals because that's where every fish is. That's their spawning grounds. And then once you get to later into May, so I think it was May 17th. I think it was May 16th or May 17th this year. So I fished Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. So 5 days in the middle of May, all the fish were in the shoals. We put 35, 40 fish in the boat in the shoals. Came back on Friday and caught 3 fish in the shoals, caught 25 below the shoals. So that's just a reminder of, and a testament to like how fast those fish will move as the season cycles, and that's not where they want to be anymore.
Do you have to specifically target Cahaba bass, or do you just catch them mixed in with Alabama bass? How does that work on the Cahaba?
Yes. So if you want to specifically target Cahaba redeyes, you hit smaller water. Like if your main objective is to catch a Cahaba redeye, then you're going to hit smaller water. We do catch them on the big river, but it's kind of a bycatch situation for sure. They all live and occupy the same places, but your Cahaba redeyes, they prefer the tributaries. So creeks, your blue lines, the little Cahaba is another. Like there's a whole different float that we have. If somebody wants to go like scale down, then we'll throw 3 and 4 weights. We'll throw smaller poppers, smaller crawfish patterns, and the little Cahaba, and then some of the tributaries. Like that's where they produce the Cahaba redeyes the most.
Gotcha.
Anybody else got any other questions?
Are y'all susceptible to blowouts from rain, or is it a pretty year-round?
Yeah, so I'm sure y'all have gotten the same rain that we have over the last 2 months. I've had 12 reschedules in the last 2 months, and again, with us being 100, especially on the Cahaba, we're 191 miles undammed. So if it rains north of Birmingham, 36 to 48 hours, that water's coming to me. So I have to watch everybody's weather all the time, and we're super, super susceptible to getting rained out, blowed out. Now, the flip side of that is, depending on where it rained at and where it rained the heaviest, sometimes you get lucky and you can just go further towards the headwaters, because that's what's going to clear up first. But we don't have a dam system for them to like hold it here, and then you get a little let out, and you got a nice little let out sequence. And like the Tallapoosa River, I give those guys, so we have 9 incredible guides at East Alabama Fly Fishing that do the Tallapoosa and the Chattahoochee River, all really good buddies of mine. But I give them hell all the time. Must be nice having a dam and let out schedule. But yeah, we're super, super susceptible to it, because you're talking about the first 80 miles of river. If it rains anywhere across any of that, I'm going to catch it at some point. Now, that does not always mean bad fishing. You can still fish higher water. I mean, so normal flow for us. Normal summertime flow is anywhere from 285 to 325 CFS. I fished it early May. We fished it. It was 1,640 CFS when we started the day, and we still put 20 fish in the boat. And some of those were, I'm coming around to the point that the worse you think the conditions are to you, right? These fish are still feeding. They don't just stop eating. I really think that more turbidity makes big fish mess up bigger. So back to my earlier point of like bigger flies, darker patterns, pushing water, activating that lateral line. I think you can make more big fish mess up when the conditions are less optimal. Personal opinion.
You're talking about the heating up for the midsummer months and the unpredictable rainfall patterns. What about the dam rivers where you can say like the Sipsey Fork, where you've got discharge at a pretty cool rate all summer? It's but what, mid-50 temperature?
Right.
Yeah, so do you have tips on that?
So the Sipsey is out of my purview. If you want to know anything about the Sipsey, Riverside Fly Shop in Bug Tussle, Alabama, Mary Carroll and Brandon Jackson own that. And then two good buddies of mine, Stephen and Kevin Scoggins. If you've ever read anything about the Redeye Bass Slam, they were the brothers that did the 1 day Redeye Slam the very first time. But all of them guide there. Brandon and Mary Carroll own that fly shop. I really don't know how it affects them, in all honesty, but they have stripe. So I'm not a trout guy. Alabama's the Amazon of North America. Like, we have more river miles than anywhere else in North America. And it took me, I got into fly fishing about 12 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. And the more I played with blue lines, the more I fished, the more I realized how much, and I ran out. I went to Arkansas, I went to Missouri, Western North Carolina, and I'm still down to do those trips. I still like trout trips on occasion. But for me, it became a point of, I was born and raised here, and it made me realize how much water I have in my backyard that I haven't even seen yet. So one of the things about the Sipsey, and I was saying that to say, one of the things about the Sipsey that I think is incredible is we have a southern walleye. So I'm more interested in the Sipsey for the striped bass and the southern walleye than I am for the stocker trout. But it is an awesome fishery up there, and that's a great fly shop and some great guides and awesome people up there.
For the walleye, did they stock them below the dam? Did they stock them in the lake and they got below it, or how'd that come about?
No, they stock them below the dam.
Hmm.
Yep, they do rainbow trout. So they do rainbow trout, southern walleye, and striped bass every year.
Oh, wow.
And that's the Alabama DNR that puts them in there. I want to say they put, oh, don't quote me on this. I want to say they put 160,000 southern walleye in there this year.
Wow.
So it's a pretty, I mean, it's a pretty aggressive stocking effort. And so we've got our native fish coalition, and obviously they've got a lot of pushback against the trout being stocked. And I understand it from it's a complicated dynamic, because I understand it from Brandon and Mary Carroll's. The fly shop owners, they built their life on this place, and they kind of, unless Alabama DNR is going to put 500,000 southern walleye in there, then they need the trout there to sustain their business.
Is the southern walleye a native species?
It is. It is.
To that river?
Correct. And it was indigenous to more Alabama rivers before all the damming and everything for the TVA.
Mm-hmm.
So on the redeye bass, I just thought about this, a fun fact with them. So Dr. Matthew Robert Lewis is the guy that we call him Dr. Redeye. He was an Alabama native, but he's the one that did all the red-eye bass across the Southeast used to be rolled up under one genus species, which was Micropterus cusi. So Matt did all the genetic testing that split them out in their 7 separate species. So you have the Coosa, the Tallapoosa, the Warrior, and the Cahaba that are all endemic to Alabama. We split the Chattahoochee with Georgia, and then you have the Altamaha and the Bartrams. So the whole red-eye bass slam for the Southeast. So you got the Mobile Basin Slam, which is R4, and then you've got the full 7, which includes the 3 from Georgia. And then there's some, I want to say it's the Bartrams, goes up into South Carolina, lower South Carolina as well. But I'm glad that it got pinned as the brook trout of the Southeast, because it really is. It takes you you can go up into the smallest waters, the tiniest little streams, and catch the most beautiful black bass that exists.
Have you noticed in the last 10 years more people fishing on the smaller blue line streams targeting red eyes?
100%. And I would say significantly, and less so. I would say less so and this is across the board though, but less so in the last 10 years, so much as in the last 6 since COVID. I think a lot more people got into the outdoors in general. And certainly I've seen a huge boom in the fly fishing industry and just like the people that we get through the guide service. There's a lot more people that are looking into fly fishing, and just inherently, I equate fly fishing to traditional archery. Like conventional fishing is rifle hunting, and fly fishing is more like traditional archery. It's a whole different level and skill and practice. It's a discipline. Like there's so many things that you have to learn that have nothing to do with catching the fish. Like there's a lot of just your casting and techniques and learning all that. It's a whole different discipline. And I think through COVID and after it's carried over, there's just a lot more people getting outside now.
Do you get a lot of relatively new people on your boat, or is it people that started with trout and moved to bass, or what's the dynamic of?
I would say that I get about a 70-30 difference. So about 70% of the people that I get are have already been fly fishing at least a little bit, and some of them may have like just started, but people that have held a fly rod before, 70%. The other 30% threw one 10 years ago at Granddaddy's pond to catch brim, or they've never touched a fly rod at all. And those are I will say, like from the guide perspective, they're still rewarding trips, but they're not as much fun as like I'm going to pick on him. The difference in Brad last year and this year was it was even more fun this year. I bill myself, whenever I have people that know how to fly fish, I bill myself as a charismatic trolling motor. Like all I got to show you is what kind of presentation we're kind of looking for. I can kind of like dial you in to kind of specifically what they like on my water. And then if you can pick it up and put it down 30 feet and keep your rod tip low and strip set, like I'm just here to tell stories.
I think I caught 7 or 8 last year, and I caught 28 this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sensei.
How many are on the so far? 7 or so.
But he didn't. But I will say Brad didn't catch any less on size. I think we had 4 or 5 that were over 16 inches this year, which is for moving water. Any of you that have smallmouth fished, like you already know, a 5-pound largemouth in an impoundment cannot hold a candle to a 3-pound smallmouth in moving water, as far as quality of fight and everything else. So, and I don't weigh anything. I've started playing around with it. If any of you have seen the proof ball, I've been playing around with the proof ball this year. I hung it on the inside of my net, so I'm still trying to figure out how that thing works, how accurate it is. It's been, my review, I'll just say it's so-so.
So how do you feel about now that more people have been fly fishing, targeted for those bass and the conservation side? Do you think there's more, I guess, awareness versus like keeping them versus not keeping them, or, you know, does it look sustainable with more people? Or, because I've heard some of the guys, like Chuck and all them saying, okay, we get a lot more people up here now, you know, and maybe spots getting blown out, stuff like that. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so with me being our main wade guide, I had to think about this, the philosophical point of that, right? I'm exploiting a public resource. So it's everybody's resource to use. And if it's legal, I can't tell somebody what to do or not do. Where I, as a guide, where I found my moral and ethical standpoint is, I will not guide anyone. I will not take anyone on a wade trip specifically for red-eye bass that lives within 4 hours of that water. Because that was the only compromise point that I could find to share this fish with people and not over compromise the water. Because again, they live in super small water, and there's a lot of places that everybody that knows about them. But that doesn't, for me, that didn't make it okay to, you know, possibly abuse the certain water points, and especially not those fish. But now, like with the Alabama bass, where Brad caught the big ones 2 years ago, there's a hunting club that's right beside that. And I've watched guys walk out of there with stringers completely full of 2 and 3 pounders all spring, and they just wear them out. Got every right to do so. They paid for their license just like I did. It's public water, whatever. Now, do I love to see it? Hell no.
Right. Yeah.
I need every fish in that river I can get. But, you know, especially on the big water, especially on Main River, you know, everybody's got a right to it just like I do. The difference is I'm making money off of it. So I think it's even more. So me personally, everything. So David Butler is our Cahaba River keeper, really good friends with him. Every tire cleanup they had the Cahaba Lily Festival about a month ago. We set up a booth and supported that. We support their swim guide. Because we're exploiting, I know Rockert, I can speak for Rockert's the owner of our guide company. I know I can speak for him on this because we've had lengthy conversations about it. Because we're exploiting the resource and we're making money off of it, it's even more important to us to do everything that we can to give back to the conservation side of it.
Is there a concern with Alabama bass at all on conservation? I mean, I know they're pretty prolific. Yeah.
Absolutely not. Yeah, Alabama bass, 0. Now, to that point, though, the problem that we have is that Alabama bass and the red-eye can hybridize. So that is an issue that there's not really a solution for. As these Alabama bass become more and more prolific, they oftentimes, even in the smaller water, they habitate the exact same places. you'll catch a lot of hybrids, like especially on the main river up around the shoals, you catch a lot of hybrids because they all go to and spawn in the same places. And you just hate to see the decline of a species that's so special, but I mean, not my field of study. My field of study is like, wearing camouflage and, gun go bang bang. So, I got to lean hard on the people with the degrees for what could possibly be done about that. And even from Dr. Lewis, there's not really an answer.
So are the Alabama bass stopped in any way? Is that why they're hybridizing now versus in the past, or is it just?
No, they've always been hybridizing. So the big problem with our redeye bass is habitat degradation, primarily due to pollutants and siltation. So, like I was saying earlier, they mostly live in the tributaries. They're more prolific in the tributaries and in the kind of all the little sidewaters and the little creeks, and all the way up into downtown Birmingham. Downtown Birmingham, you can catch 2 different species of red-eye bass within 15 minutes of each other that are different watersheds. And both of them in the back of a playground park. But the problem is with housing development and urban growth and everything else, those builders don't care. That's where our river keepers are so important. That's why I support them as much as I can. Because they're the ones that go after those builders and developers, and they put the heat on them, and they build the lawsuits, and they go, hey, like, what happened to the silt fence and all these other studies that you had to have done. And so, that's why it's not the only reason why I appreciate them so much, but it's a big difference.
Well,
I know that was a roundabout way of answering your question, but the big thing is habitat degradation, and they're just getting encroached on. So it's pushing the red eye populations further towards Main River, and they don't have so many tributaries to live in.
Well, I think that's all we got. Appreciate it. And I speak for myself, I'm pretty jealous that, somebody in Alabama fishes a raft for bass. I wish we had somebody like that here, or some kind of operation. That's really cool. So, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, thank y'all for having me.
Thanks, Pete.
Have a good night. See ya.
Hey, y'all do the same.
Thank you.